under pressure. The game is about being effective, being aggressive, winning the ball, getting on with the play. We'll put them under pressure.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
At this point in time, Europe has not yet learned how to be multicultural, and I think we're going to be part of the throes of that transformation, which must take place. Europe is not going to be the monolithic societies that they once were in the last century. Jews are going to be at the center of that. It's a huge transformation for Europe to make. They are now going into a multicultural mode, and Jews will be resented because of our leading role.
Organized and orchestrated chaos.
They call everybody they disagree with Nazis.
We've been struggling in the streets. Why aren't you taking to the streets for them? Why aren't you taking to the streets for the Irish?
So yeah, kill them. Kill Nazis.
Long live the socialist revolution.
When conditions become right, people do get the opportunity to change the whole system through a revolutionary struggle.
The International Revolutionary People's Guerrilla Forces works to defend social revolutions around the world.
We gotta fight it out. We're gonna remake this country in the streets.
Liberals get to the wall first.
Someday, we're gonna knock those motherfuckers who control this thing right on their ass.
Organization Refuse Fascism, refusefascism.org, has put forward a call and a plan and is actively building for that mass mobilization.
Police killed a man allegedly trying to burn down a detention center. Seattle Anti-Fascist Action is hailing that Antifa disciple as a martyr.
Body cam video released by Seattle police show the violent confrontation between officers and protesters.
I want to be clear in how I characterize this. This is mostly a protest. It is not, generally speaking, unruly.
And when conditions become right, people do get the opportunity to choose a different system. That is to change the whole system through a revolutionary struggle and a revolutionary transformation.
While they do this under the cover of anti-fascism, the reality is that Antifa defines the entire American political system, regardless of party affiliation, as fascism.
Stand up, fight back! Stand up, fight back! Stand up, fight back! Stand up, fight back! Stand
Aisling Murphy went for a walk. She was dead less than an hour later. Her grieving family and friends sat through every day of her killer's trial. This evening, they paid a public tribute to a young woman described by the trial judge as representing the good things in a community.
He was also a huge shining light in our community, a community in which year in, year out, she gave back to as best she could.
The 23-year-old teacher finished work at Durrow National School at 2:30 on January the 12th last year. She headed straight for the Grand Canal in Tullamore for a walk in the winter sunshine. On the return leg, she was overpowered by Pushka. He stabbed her 11 times in the neck before leaving her to die in a ditch.
Basically, if you read the Dublin media's coverage of this story for its first week, you were completely wasting your time, weren't you? Because it was just everything but what was going on.
We do like to have in Ireland national conversations, as we call them, and there's always a great chance to have a national conversation in the aftermath of the tragedy. So a few months ago, we had a very awful murder of a young lady in the centre of the country, a teacher who was walking home from school. And we had a national conversation about misogyny and the terrible awfulness of Irish men and rape culture, and how young men had to do better, and how we had to teach boys to be better in Irish primary schools, and so on and so forth. And then eventually they arrested a suspect who, I should say, a suspect, he has yet to be convicted, but the suspect was from Slovakia, who moved here when he was 22, which sort of undermined the idea, in my mind at least, that a national conversation about young Irish men was a particularly helpful thing to have. And so in last week, obviously we had these awful events in County Sligo, which was a great opportunity for a national conversation about homophobia and our attitudes to gay men. I mean, let's set aside here for 1 second the fact that the Republic of Ireland was the very first country in the entire world to legalise same-sex marriage in a popular vote of almost 2-1, so clearly we can't be that homophobic. We then had the Minister for Justice, the Irish Minister for Justice, a lady called Helen McEntee, come out and say that the crimes were a call back to an earlier, darker time that we had left behind. That's not an exact quote, but it's a pretty close approximation. And then a couple of days ago, the Gardaí, the police, made a breakthrough and they arrested and committed these crimes out of an excess of Islamic zeal. So, I mean, when the Minister for Justice says, hark back to a darker time, I struggle to remember any time in Irish history where gay men were being beheaded by Irish people. And once again, we have this kind of bizarre attempt to have a national conversation about the thing that isn't actually the issue at all. Because the real issue in this case appears to be how well we integrate people into our society.
Hey, what's crack, buddy? We've got Antifa here. Antifa, known terrorist organisation. Look, there's our mate there, hiding behind. Now you won't show us face this time. Hello?
In 1943, the following directive was issued from party headquarters to all communists in the United States. It read, "When certain obstructionists become too irritating, label them after suitable build-ups as fascist or Nazi or anti-Semitic, and use the prestige of anti-fascist and tolerance organizations to discredit them. In the public mind, constantly associate those who oppose us with those names which already have a bad smell. The association will, after enough repetition, become fact in the public mind."
Do about it? No, genuinely. What are you going to do about it?
We're going to do absolutely nothing.
Yeah, you aren't going to do nothing.
What are you going to do now? So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Seems like talking. What are you going to do?
What are you going to do? How do you gather around here doing shite?
Nothing we're going to do. So what are you going to do?
Thank you. We're going to do nothing.
Yeah, so what are you going to do?
Nothing.
You're going to do nothing.
Fucking pricks. Nah, shut your mouth. I'm a mouthpiece going around throwing your little Trump flag around. You don't fucking stand for for the working class of Ireland. You don't stand for shit, you little dirty prick.
You don't know how to wash your feet, juicy. Yeah, juicy
benders, yeah. Get the Go on. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Nothing. Yeah, we are. We stand for the ideas of James Conley. You stand for nothing. Nothing.
Donald Trump.
That's what we stand for.
You can barely speak a word of fucking Irish yourselves. You are nothing. Cowards. Yous are all fucking cowards. Get your little phones out recording for your safety. Yeah, you are fucking coward. You are fucking coward. The lot of you is a little coward.
Hi, I'm Fionn with the Revolutionary Communists of Ireland Northside Dublin branch. Recently we held a stall outside the GPO to promote the ideas of Marx, Engels, Lenin, Trotsky and of course James Conley when we were confronted by a group of far-right thugs. Now of course we got them to back down and move their protest, but events like this are far too commonplace across the world and in Ireland. From the burning down of the Coolock IPA Centre last year to the Dublin riots in 2023. And yet the far-right are just a small force compared to those on the left. The demonstrations for Palestine in Dublin regularly attract thousands and thousands of people, far bigger than any anti-immigration protest. But time and time again, the left and the Labour movement have been caught napping. It's time for the gloves to come off in the fight against the far right. Enough with the soft, respectable methods that have done nothing to quell the rise of these reactionary forces. The working class is the only force that has the power to push them, and the interest in doing so. First off, we must confront them and crush the mob in the street. But secondly, we must politically isolate them. Today, they are able to garner some support by presenting themselves as anti-establishment, in the lack of any real alternative. But their false credentials will wear right off by creating a real, revolutionary alternative that can express the anger in Irish society. That's precisely what we are doing here today in the Revolutionary Communists of Ireland. We are building a Bolshevik organisation that will put up a fight not just against the far right, but the whole capitalist system. And you should join us in that fight. So sign up at communism.ie.
The conflict today in Ireland isn't about left versus right, or two political tribes fighting. It's about survival. You see, international globalism is a fire roaring toward Ireland, ready to burn our culture, heritage and freedom to ash. Christianity and nationalism isn't about passion or beliefs. It is the shield for our ethnic race, our identity and our right to self-govern as a people. More than all this, it is about our very survival as a people. Those anti-racist and anti-fascist and Irish socialist Republicans are all pro-globalism. You see, globalism is communism rebranded. And all the establishment is pushing this communist globalist ideology.
What we have in mind is the global scenario where because of poverty, because of war, because of the climate crisis, large population movements are now a fact of the world that we live in. We may be a small island out on our own, but we are not immune to all of that. Nobody has a veto. Nobody has a veto. Nobody has a veto.
We are
in as much trouble today as our ancestors were in the Great Famine.
John Cromwell's genocide or the British Crown's tyranny. Worse off than we were before the 1916 rebellion and the civil war that kicked off afterwards. And yet, most Irish people right now have their heads buried in the sand, unaware that the white Europeans are being systematically erased.
The term racism is an active noun first put to literary use in 1930 by Leon Trotsky in his book The History of the Russian Revolution. Born Lev Davidovich Bronstein, he grew up as a Jew in Little Russia, or the Ukraine, in the late 19th century. Like many professional left-wing agitators and revolutionaries with Jewish backgrounds, he created a more native-sounding name to better dupe locals in the nations they actively sought to destroy. Trotsky was a key agent in Russia who co-wrote the first set of law codes in the newly formed Soviet Union. The fourth of these, issued in 1922, made anti-Semitism treasonous to the political Soviet of Russia and was punishable by death. In fact, this law had become necessary, as many Russians, Balts, and Ukrainians in particular began noticing that the vast majority of commissars entering their villages, bringing gangs of thugs and meting out harsh collective punishments, were of Jewish origin, and some 150 were beaten to death as a result in 1921 alone. However that may be, the history of the terms racist and racism, created by the communist and proto-globalist Leon Trotsky, who personally asked the New York Times to label him an internationalist, these terms have thus been stamped with anti-European, anti-Western male vitriol to such an extent that they can be considered as merely social constructs, which have meaning only to those seeking the eradication of Western culture, as the sole target of these terms is consistently applied to ethnic Europeans.
In 1943, the following directive was issued from party headquarters to all communists in the United States. It read, "When certain obstructionists become too irritating, label them after suitable build-ups as fascist or Nazi or anti-Semitic, and use the prestige of anti-fascist and tolerance organizations to discredit them. In the public mind, constantly associate those who oppose us with those names which already have a bad smell. The association will, after enough repetition, become fact in the public mind."
Commissioner and Minister McEntee, on the topic of abuse of Gardaí, earlier this month an NGO meeting was held in Cork City Hall featuring government and opposition party politicians, TDs, councillors, the Lord Mayor and Deputy Lord Mayor of Cork, and there were a variety of controversial claims, including about the Gardaí and about Minister McEntee. It was claimed that Garda officers should be ashamed of themselves for the shooting of George Nkensho in 2020, that Nkensho received no justice because killing a black man is seen as an achievement in Ireland, and that Minister McEntee and the Director of Public Prosecutions are shameless and corrupt for their handling of Nkensho's death, and this was met with applause from the crowd who were present.
You were acting ignorant. You are the same people who were once slaves. No dogs, no Irish. Today, why are you acting superior? Why are you racist? Did you forget your history? George Nkensho was shot 6 times by a Garda. Till today, there is no justice. Killing a black man is an achievement to you. George needed help, not 6 bullets. Irish Gardazi, you should be ashamed of yourselves. Minister of Justice and the DPPS, you have no shame. How dare you make a decision not to prosecute the officer who shot George 6 times? Just because the officer shot a black man, so he deserves to walk free. You are corrupt human beings. The love you got is only for your own people. Thank you.
And notably, when I asked the Garda press office about this, it was said that An Garda Síochána attended the event in an official capacity, and Minister McEntee, the NGO behind this, the Cork Migrant Centre, thanked your department for funding their work and making their work possible.
I would like to thank the Department of Justice and Equality for the funding we received under the National Action Plan Against Racism. With this funding, the Cork Migrant Centre were able to employ 2 part-time anti-racist development workers.
So I suppose my question for all three of you is, do you think that's conducive to rank and file Garda morale when organisations like this are receiving the support of the Garda Commissioner and the Department of Justice?
Well, firstly, I just want to acknowledge the work that the Gardaí do day in, day out in keeping us safe. It's a very difficult job. Challenges arise, and there are very clear processes that have to be undertaken and independent processes that are undertaken. Gardaí will always have my support, but also we need to make sure that there is an independent process to uphold any complaints or any processes that need to be undertaken.
But specifically on the question I ask, as I say, your department is funding this organisation, or has funded them in the past, to facilitate their work. This is the Cork Migrant Centre. As I say, there were many organisations in attendance, including the Lord Mayor and Deputy Lord Mayor, Green Party councillors, Sinn Féin TD was there. So again, my question is, do you think it is encouraging to rank and file Gardaí who and their morale overall when they hear that the Department of Justice is funding such an organisation?
Well, I'm not aware of those comments, but I'd absolutely reject those comments. I don't support those comments.
I emailed your office about this over the weekend, so I mean, I understand you must have a busy schedule. I suppose, Taoiseach, then, I might ask...
If I could just say, I absolutely reject those comments and any assertion that may have been made at a meeting. I'm not aware of the comments that are made, but let's be crystal clear here. Gardaí have to be supported in the work that they do. if there are issues that arise, there's very clear independent processes that can be undertaken. But I would reject any claims that may have been made at a meeting in any way that you're suggesting at all.
And then this is at my local shop, right? This is where this all happened. It's at my local shop. They're after beating a 66-year-old woman to a fucking pulp. A pulp. They pulled a woman out of the car in front of her 2 fucking children. I'm sorry, right? I fully support the Black Lives Matter. I 100% do. And like the fact they're comparing this to George Floyd, I knew George. I knew the fella that got shot. He was a fucking scumbag.
With your eyes, how the black young man was being shot by the guy that she called on. However, war is unbelievable. My people, are we going to keep fighting each other, or are we going to become a one? Answer me, Red Star Boy. Because, as you can see, having an Irish passport, wherever blue, red, your life is not safe. They will kill you like a fowl. However, what you got to say now? Because this is unbelievable, my people. For a black young man to be killed just like that. This is unacceptable in the Republic of Ireland. So Irish government, war done started though.
Justice for George. Everyone's calling for justice for George. George only attacked a guard out response unit with a machete, but they want justice for him. Let me explain to you. I totally agree with you. I totally 100% agree with you right now that George should not be dead. And this is why he should not be dead. From the minute the scumbag was welcomed into our country and went out attacking our people, that scumbag should have been arrested and his family put on the next ship out of here and deported straight away. Hey, you'd have a son then, wouldn't you? Get the fuck out of it, will you? Justice for George. Justice has been served. One less scumbag on the street.
Every migrant out there is supposed to carry a weapon, supposed to carry something to defend themselves. Don't listen to these people. They don't know what life is. They don't even know who they are. You know, they don't even know how to protect their own fucking country. You know what I mean? The cheek of these people. The cheek of the authorities in this country. The cheek of them. Don't make sure they don't take nothing from you. You know, if you're going out with your friend, make sure you strap up. Yeah, don't be afraid to strap up.
The next time these dirty racist people in this country oppress me and my family in this country, I'm taking a tool, I'm strapping up and I'm going house to house. And I advise every migrant in this country, if you grew up in this country and your document was taken away from you unlawfully, strap up and go house to house and be Santa Claus in reverse. Yeah, go down the chimney and take all the presents and give to your kid, because your children deserve a life too, not just theirs. You're in this country, you're supposed to be documented and you're supposed to be able to work and provide for your family. They did it to me and they're lucky I didn't go from house to house and taking everything that they have.
Suffice to say that we're working through options that I am discussing and will continue to discuss with government colleagues. I'm acutely aware of the pressures that tenants and indeed some individual...
Everyone on the bus being racist, look at him. Look at this guy being racist. Grown ass man, look at him. Look at him, grown ass man. Don't touch him, bro. Don't get yourself in trouble, bro. Don't touch him. If you touch him, you're gonna get in trouble. Cops are racist. Don't touch him, bro. Chill.
Who are you? Who are you?
You talk to a man's girl like that as well.
Keep it quiet, pal.
You know what I mean? Just shut up. You know what I mean?
Your own sake, keep it quiet. Your own sake, pal, trust me.
Abusing people on the bus, calling people black. Look at him.
What's just done there was way over. The guard are coming here. And you're better off getting off side before you get nicked. I don't like getting nicked.
Shame. Look at him. This grown ass man. Racist. Look at him.
Because in 1837, when they abolished slavery, when the British abolished slavery, over 100 people in the island of Ireland received compensation. Know your history, people. Ireland is not this independent state that is just, hey, we're not involved in anything. Ireland is complicit. Very, very complicit. And as of 2 days ago, Ireland now sits on the UN Security Council. How ironic. But yet there is no peace on the state.
Everyone is living on edge right now, and we need to do something about it. We cannot continue ignoring that this is a small minority of far-right movement. It is an organized terrorist group of people who want to harm immigrants in this country, and we have to take action now. We can't keep on calling them a small, dangerous group of people, because it is an organized group of people who are radicalizing young people and encouraging them to go and harm others who are just living peacefully, who wants to live a peaceful life in this country.
Five policemen, 6 policemen, they are challenging behavior.
They're literally after attacking some lad and his man all in the fucking car park. They're throwing shit at the guards there and all, right in front of me gaff like. Oh my
Innocent fucking people, yeah. What? You say so. Yeah, leave him. Say so again, you got rush. Say so again. Yeah.
Keep it going. Justice, we want it now. Yeah. We want justice, bro. That's what we want. Justice, that's it, bro. That's all we want, fam. Anyway. Leave the fucking home. Back your watch, man. Push your shame. What? This Watch them hurt. Horizontal kuna yana ndo so na bango. Oh, go on. Don't be reversing. Come back here. Let's have a chat. Shoot one. Fools.
Bro, you got you.
Fools.
We're saying that.
You up the lads. You up the lads. Do with the little smelly rookie. You. 6-star.
Everyone is living on edge right now.
6-star. Here. Flat. You. Bro, tell them actually.
Don't worry about it. Bad things happen to all races, Buttercup. Yeah, that catchphrase, Black Lives Matter, it duped a lot of us, but it didn't get us. Yeah, it's catchy though, but I didn't fall for it. Look here.
Newly released body camera footage of this police shooting shows Daniel Shaver's last moments. Police were responding to reports of a man pointing a rifle out of a hotel room window. Begging for his life.
Then listen to my instructions. Don't talk, listen. Hands straight up in the air. Do not put your hands down for any reason. You think you're gonna fall, you better fall on your face. Your hands go back in the small of your back or down. We are going to shoot you. Do you understand me?
An officer then orders Shaver to crawl toward him. Shaver complies, but then moves his right hand behind him despite the warning.
This kid is drunk. Yeah. He's begging for his life. Yeah. And the cop shoots him anyway. Yeah. The cop walks. Yeah, gotta quit it. You didn't hear about it because he's white. They have split this country in half. Yeah. These riots, people actually think cops out there hunt down black people for the simple fact that they're black and there's no evidence of that. None. Because it's all a lie. Because it's all a lie.
They're just marching up and down the streets, and they formed a big bulkhead here at the end of at the corner.
The distant coverage in the sky was emulated on the ground by the scarce street reporters who tried to glide by without speaking to the protesters.
With the chants, no justice, no peace is what they're chanting. You can hear them now. We can still going here. Now let's go.
No justice, no justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. We ain't got nothing to say.
Change, people. There should never been a change of venue.
No justice.
There should never been a change of venue.
This video is to answer the question as to where the violent, radically left-leaning organisation named Antifa originally came from. Often we hear it said that Antifa is an idea, but the truth shows this organisation has always, in fact, been very organised. Due to the incessant threats and acts of violence towards the public, and due to the lack of information granted to the average citizen, this short rundown has been created to give further context. The content in this video is for educational purposes and for the public and legal record regarding the roots of anti-fascist violence and the claim that it's an organic movement. This simple information could have been mentioned throughout our lives by all from history teachers to world leaders and the media. During the lead-up to Germany's 1932 federal elections in what's known as the Weimar Republic, 6 major parties existed, most being obviously left-leaning, one being particularly right-leaning, Of the parties, the Communist Party of Germany, otherwise known as the KPD, was the most outspoken and active in opposing nationalist votes and was led by Ernst Thälmann. The Nationalist Party of the day, named National Socialist German Workers' Party, otherwise known as the NSDAP, had sympathised with Italy's discussion on fascism, allowing the KPD to create a term to oppose the National Socialists of Germany. Stefan Pirath is quoted as saying, "Red United Front under the leadership of the only anti-fascist party, the KPD." So was born the anti-fascist regime. The radically left-wing group would be named Anti-Fascist Action and would violently disturb NSDAP gatherings in an effort to stop them gaining support, which became common practice for many years after the war, adopted across the Western world. It's very clear that, like anarchist factions before them, such as the Black Hand, Antifa felt the tactics worked and therefore knew they could be used again. Today Antifa use this tactic against all they oppose. The idea is to create the image that the common people are behind such action and to diminish the efforts of their opponents. Often the ideas of the radical left will naturally lose to the common voter, and so undercover operations are used to make it look as though all Antifa's opposition is either hated, evil or unauthentic, whilst such physical action against any left-leaning party would be deemed as highly illegal or terroristic. This is why Antifa groups must reject association with any said company or party, but will certainly be working on someone's behalf. The average anti-fascist is a replaceable asset to the organisers, who care little for them if they become injured or incarcerated. To this day, images exist which highlight the birth of Antifa at KPD gatherings, where we even find the original logo which is still in use today. The following is the modern definition of the word terrorism. Terrorism: the unlawful use of violence and intimidation, especially against civilians, in the pursuit of political aims. This definition obviously puts Antifa firmly in the bracket of terrorism, but is also a statement easily taken out of context. By its own definition, whoever is in charge dictates as to what is and is not terroristic, as one person's self-defense is another person's horror. For instance, a civilian may feel a government body has used such action against them, but possesses no ability to call his attackers terrorists, thus creating the unclear line as to who is allowed to label someone such a term. However, using the definition as it's stated, it's clear Antifa are clearly based entirely on the ethos of terrorism. Anti-fascists make no attempt to understand their opponent's perspective as they're assigned to their stations. Some ask why the foot soldiers would follow such orders, and this can be usually explained by funding or specific needs only the radical left can provide. For many, the only place they feel safe to share their secrets and pursue their wants are among those they feel most comfortable, leaving them ripe for radical recruitment. Antifa echo the statements of the state, who already have radically left-leaning views against nationalism and the family unit. To call oneself rebellious when the state uses anti-fascist language is truly disingenuous and part of the shadow wars in which they play. One need not support fascism to oppose anti-fascism, as one has been dead for a long time. The other is used in modern times to end discussion and public education when it comes to political matters. A common accusation from a radical leftist is to call you a fascist for opposing them. But opposition to the viewpoint they hold, like that of nationalism, existed long before the 30s and 40s, making this a diversion from their true aims. Case in point, to oppose anti-fascism is simply to oppose anti-nationalism, which is a reality most anti-fascist activists hope the public cannot see. Even more simple than this, to oppose the group known as Antifa is to oppose the political, economic and social positions they hold. Language is used as an important tool of confusion concerning many subjects with clear answers.
The history of Spain, as well as our current age, teaches us one important thing. The far left will not and cannot ever stop. They didn't stop when the Popular Front won elections. They didn't stop when the minor revolt was violently put down by the military. They didn't stop after Franco's failed coup. They didn't stop with their red terrors. They didn't stop once they got the means of production. They didn't stop when nationalists retook Republican territory. They only stopped once Franco physically removed them. During the Spanish Civil War, Franco commissioned his chief psychiatrist, Antonio Bajero Nájera, to study the personality of communists from the Republic and the international brigades. Vallejo's work represents one of the few documented cases of scientific research aimed at classifying political dissidents within the framework of biopsychological pathologies. He did not consider communists as mentally ill people, but as subjects who had innately inferior and degenerative psychological characteristics. These prisoners were characterized by degenerative temperaments, mediocre intelligence, and held innately revolutionary social personalities. In certain political environments, they will turn into vigorous defenders of the most indefensible persuasions. It is these clumsy, unspontaneous beings that make up the majority of the gregarious mass of anonymous people. He found that social resentment, frustrated aspirations, and envy were at the sources of Marxism, which were typical attributes of the followers of anti-fascism and other leftist ideologies. Vallejo stated that these traits were enhanced in female prisoners due to the psychological inferiority of their sex. He concludes that the probability of obtaining a positive change in the political attitude of such individuals was very low. The nationalists were up against communistoids, a degenerate and inferior class of people that can barely be described as human. And when you look upon the masked bodies that make up most of today's Antifa, you can understand the sentiment that Franco held.
Set up the foundation in Ukraine in 1990, which was 2 years before the independence of Ukraine.
Where does George Soros figure in all this?
Unfortunately, everywhere. If we talked about some positive results from the activities of this gentleman, then we should have noted some success. But his activity is mainly focused on those countries where he took an active position with his various funds. We remember the countries in North Africa where the Arab Spring happened. Libya, Tunisia, and Egypt. We remember the Tulip Revolution in Kyrgyzstan. We remember the Rose Revolution in Georgia. We remember the Orange Revolution in 2004. And finally, the consequences of not only the Orange Revolution, but also the Revolution of Dignity of 2013 and 2014. This is also his activity. He did not stop. He continued to operate in 2015 and 2016.
Hillary Clinton comes in as Secretary of State, and at that point she sets up a private email system. I think now it's pretty clear that part of what was going on is they were setting up the underpinnings that would set up the Maidan. She introduced a program called Civil Society 2.0.
And what we've done with Secretary Clinton's Civil Society 2.0 program is we've taken one of America's undeniable strengths, the strength of our technology and of our innovators, and we've put them to work in service of our diplomatic goals.
This is a way for the U.S. government to work directly with NGOs like International Renaissance, funded by George Soros. And while working with those NGOs, fund money to them, but also training, and the kind of training that would be used when the Maidan would start.
I cannot and do not look at the social consequences of what I do.
In Minneapolis tonight, tensions are high as 4 police officers have been fired after a man was pinned to the ground and died. The incident was caught on camera.
It's the video that's changing American history.
What we saw was horrible. Completely and utterly messed up. This man's life matters. 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 Matters.
George Soros-funded anarchist effort, and we have to rid ourselves of this naive view that it's anything but. This is not about protest. It's not about inequality. It's not about any of those things. This is a George Soros-funded assault on American values.
Yeah, look, the number one problem in almost all these cities is George Soros.
I'm not sure we need to bring George Soros into this. I was going to say you get the last word, Speaker.
He paid for it. I mean, why can't we discuss the fact that millions of dollars he spent?
I agree with Melissa. George Soros doesn't need to be a part of this conversation.
Okay. So it's verboten.
All right, we're going to. Okay, we're going to move on.
I'm not no Black Lives Matter supporter. Like,
you're not?
No, absolutely.
Why not?
Because it's not our movement. This is a movement that was given to us by, George Soros and his fucking boys.
For America's future, that some participate and others don't. We have been given an extraordinary blessing. And at this moment in time, our country needs us. And we need people like George Soros, who is fearless and willing to step up when it counts. So please join me in welcoming George Soros.
Do you believe in God?
No.
I will tell you that George Soros is not to be discussed. It is verboten. This is why he is so off limits, because what is being done to our country, his fingerprints are all over it.
I think that the criticism is helpful. I also think that it might, I think of a lot of things. The first thing I think is that we actually do have an ideological frame. Myself and Alicia in particular are trained organizers. We are trained Marxists.
It works as in the Marxist way.
You know, it's amazing that 1 minute the news is doing nothing but reporting how many cases of COVID-19 there are, how many people have died, and how bad it's affecting the economy and stuff like that. And then this George Floyd death happens and things suddenly switch gears to topics like racial inequality, police brutality, and violent protests. The news is a fickle bitch, isn't it? It loves to stir up trouble and promote fear and distrust among the people. And this is all in an effort to stage the entire thing and create the chaos and discord that we are now going through. Is this really true, though? Could something like this really be pulled off? The answer is a resounding yes.
Some random ass bricks, bro. Ain't no construction. Ain't no construction, bro. Just some random ass bricks sitting here.
This the setup.
They put them there on purpose,
y'all know
bro.
Where we at.
They gonna set them hoes right up on the route.
Y'all know what building this is right here. I ain't even gonna say what name it is.
Hey, where do them bricks go to? Where do them bricks go to? Where do them bricks go to?
We gotta do better.
Ain't no.
Gotta do better.
Ain't no damn construction around here.
I see.
Ain't no damn construction around here. You just gonna set a pallet of bricks right there. Oh, okay.
Listen, I did jury duty 3 months ago. Y'all don't keep no bricks right there.
I don't know, man. That don't look right to me. That don't look right to me. Fucking bricks at a bus stop on Ventura Boulevard? The fuck is going?
Are those fucking bricks? What the fuck are those?
Those look like bricks. Look, yeah, those are fucking bricks. What the fuck? They're collecting all of those bricks so that
when you say fuck the police, who you talking about? You can't just say fuck all the police. You don't know all the police. Be specific. You're talking about these motherfuckers. This is who you're talking about. This is who you're talking about.
That's why I'm doing this shit, guys. What the? I ain't got part of that shit. Dude. Oh, I'm
Looks like, yeah. So as you can see, the auto goes.
Guy just came with a hammer and smashed the windows.
I'm gonna break you right now. You wanna go? What's up? Somebody hold my blunt.
Hey,
somebody hold my blunt. I'm gonna get you. Hey. Are you a fucking cop? What's up?
Now look at this. Minnesota, this is all recent. Okay? Minnesota officials link arrested looters to white supremacist groups. Okay? And I want to let y'all know they're not looters. They're agents placed there. And they're not white supremacist groups. They're Freemasons. The white supremacist groups are just the fall guy. So when we get mad, we just automatically blame that shit on white people. It's not all white people. It's deep state, secret society motherfuckers. I don't know if all these motherfucking people in uniform is trying to bring in a new world order, but I know this nigga is.
Somebody hold my blunt. Hey, somebody hold my blunt. Hey.
This is LA, right? Los Angeles. Look at the police directing this woman on what this is vandalism. Look, they telling this bitch what to spray. She's spraying Black Lives Matter on the wall. And the police is telling her what to spray. Look, the police is telling these bitches what to write. Look at her, she writing Black Lives Matter. That's not a black person. The police are promoting crime. It's not us, it's them. But it's not all of them. It's the specific motherfuckers who was placed in these agencies to do this.
These are cops right here destroying everything. You're gonna take the materials of us trying to peacefully protest?
These are undercover deep state agents, see? But these niggas is yelling cops. These are not cops. These are these motherfuckers. These are these motherfuckers. And then what happens? You just say fuck the police. And now you outside fighting all of the police when it's not all of the police. It's not. It's agents.
Hey, were you at the protest?
Yes.
As a protester?
Huh?
As a protester? As a cop?
Journalist.
As a journalist? Well, I saw you just getting out of a police truck.
That's not a police truck.
That's not a police truck?
No. Nope.
Who are you with? What?
CNN.
Oh, okay.
Who are you with?
Myself?
Yeah. Were you protesting today or?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. How'd it go for you?
Pretty good.
Good.
All right, let's go see if this is CNN. Hey, is that the protest that way?
Yes, sir.
Who are you guys with?
Just hanging out.
Are you cops?
No.
You're not? You seem like cops.
No, thank you.
Are you CNN?
We're just hanging out.
You're not. Are you CNN?
We're just hanging out.
Your friend just told me you were CNN.
Oh, okay.
But you're not, so he lied to me.
Who's our friend?
The guy who just got out of here and was dressed like a protester. I'm just a guy. I'm a DC resident. My name's Max. So you're undercover cops and you're sending people into the protests who are dressed like protesters, and he's lying to me and telling me he's a journalist, which is very bad for the journalistic profession, I would say. Okay, so those are cops, and you got a guy who just got out and said he was with CNN. So basically he's putting all reporters in danger. He was dressed as a protester, basically dressed like, you know, Black Bloc style. These guys are straight up cops.
I can't believe that. Now they circling. See then, look. I want you to know this is not.
Don't police people's way of
Let me tell you this.
themselves.
This is not a black woman who's putting Black Lives Matter. They not gonna show y'all faces when they see that on their building. They gonna blame that on us. Y'all are part of the problem.
Bitch, don't give no group of black men no credit. Don't do nothing. All right? Push the fuck up. Go home. Why would you give that to them? They gonna get in trouble. You stupid. You a retarded bitch. All of y'all. Why the fuck would you give that to them? That shit is wild disrespectful. I don't give a fuck about your friends. I'm talking about this white bitch giving a group of black men a brick to throw. You know that shit could get them killed. You know that. Just having that shit could get them killed. Y'all find yourself sensational. Go in the fucking house and kick everybody's ass. Go in the motherfucking house and let everybody's glasses off their face. Fuck yeah. That's the bullshit.
I know that there are protests still happening in major cities across the United States. I'm just not seeing the reporting on it that I had
that's right.
for the first few weeks.
That's right. But they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop. And they're not. This is a movement. I'm telling you, they're not going to stop. And everyone beware, because they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not. And we should not.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black. Then you ain't black. Then you ain't black. Then you ain't black.
The former Minneapolis police officer charged in George Floyd's death made his first court appearance yesterday. Derek Chauvin faces multiple charges, including second-degree murder.
Did you know the Chauvins?
No.
You know what? We didn't.
We
didn't know he was a cop. I'm from the Daily Mail.
We had no idea he was a cop. We thought he was a realtor.
I kept saying, that's not him. That's not him. No, we're still shocked.
Police officers who supposedly killed him aren't actually police officers.
Derek Chauvin?
This is no cop. This is an actor. This is a crisis actor.
Well, at flight funding, get on the inclined sit-up bench and raise it up almost all the way and keep going to the point where people
Almost dead.
go to the point where people in the club to stop to stare.
Exciting, sure. Well, congratulations. I hope you keep up the good work.
We had no idea he was a cop. We thought he was a realtor.
I kept saying, that's not him. That's not him. No.
What's your name?
Oh, yeah, that's me.
It is you. So you're out of prison.
Yes.
And you're comfortably shopping in Cup Foods. As if you didn't do anything.
They and everyone else involved in the event are crisis actors.
George Floyd's 6-year-old daughter, 6 years old, talking about her dad for the first time. Eva Pilgrim spoke with the little girl.
What do you want people to know?
Kinda that I miss him.
Overnight, George Floyd's 6-year-old daughter, Gianna, talking about her dad.
What was your dad like? He played with me.
She didn't have to play with nobody else because Daddy was going to play with her all day long.
Gianna's mother, Roxy Washington, saying that George loved his daughter. He was always a great dad.
I mean, that was his baby. He loved his little girl.
Roxy found out about George's death when she got a phone call. She then got on the internet and saw the video.
I watched it only for a moment because I was like, I couldn't believe that somebody was doing him like that. I wish I could have been there to help him.
How did you explain what happened to your daughter?
I didn't.
But Gianna knew something was wrong.
She said, I hear them saying my daddy's name. And I told her, she doesn't know what happened. I told her that her dad died because he couldn't breathe.
As for little Gianna, she may not know exactly what happened to her father, but she does know that everyone is talking about her dad.
Dad turned the
He did what?
Dad changed the world.
He did what?
Dad changed the world.
I'm Attorney Ben Crump, the lead attorney for the family of George Floyd. And recently arriving in Minneapolis is his son, Quincy Mason. But right now, I introduce to the world Mr. Quincy Mason, George Floyd's son, to say a few remarks on behalf of him and his family. Talk as loud as you can.
Here reunited with my family, trying to get justice for my father. And no man or woman should be without their fathers. And we want justice for what's going on right now. I appreciate everyone showing him some support and love. I thank y'all for that.
We've seen a lot of. What has the last?
It's so emotional.
Quincy Mason Floyd, one of George Floyd's sons.
Because I didn't recognize who it was until my mom told me, you know who that guy was? I said, no. She says, it's your father.
Floyd says people here in Bryan College Station have been surprised to learn about the local connection to this international story. He says some people even questioned it at first.
No, they kept asking, like, how, you have any proof about it? I said, yeah, I got proof. Look at my face and look at his face, and you'll tell.
One woman, a teacher, remembers him well. In fact, for more than 30 years, she's hung onto a drawing that he made as a child.
Here's his drawing.
And tell us about this. What is this drawing and what was your assignment?
Well, one of my favorite memories of Perry involves his report for Black History Month. Each day in the month of February, we studied a different famous Black American. And as a culmination to that study, I posed the question to my students, how will you impact the future? What will you do to make a difference? So in response, each student wrote a story or an essay called Future Famous Americans and described their aspirations.
And let me just read a portion of it for everybody in case they can't read it on the screen. So what George Floyd, again, who you at that time and his family called Perry, said was, when I grow up, I want to be a Supreme Court judge. When people say, Your Honor, he did rob the bank, I will say, be seated. And if he doesn't, I will tell the guard to take him out.
I taught at Douglas for 24 years, and so...
If people want to believe that anal sex taught George Floyd, what are you gonna do? It's man versus self. And all your choices are between you and God. It really is. It's like it's your soul's journey. Your soul's journey.
She was a high school junior who saw cops doing something she felt she just had to document. And that 17-year-old girl's footage of George Floyd's last moments not only resulted in charges against the officers, but it launched a worldwide movement.
And the young woman who shot it is finally coming forward. Her name is Darnella Frazier. She's a 17-year-old high school junior, and now she's being praised as a hero. A GoFundMe page on Darnella's behalf has raised more than $500,000 to support the healing and the restoration of hope for Darnella Frazier.
I watched this man die. I was the one that was supporting the hope. I seen him die. Oh my God. I posted a video last night and it just went viral. And everybody gasped. How do I feel? I don't know how to feel. Because it's so sad, bro. This man was literally right here, 8 o'clock p.m. yesterday. I'm walking my cousin to the store, and I just see him on the ground. I'm like, what is going on? I pull my camera out. This man cannot breathe at all. He's like, please, I can't breathe, and they did not care. They killed this man. And I was right there. I was like 5 feet away. It is so traumatizing.
I love him. I'm never gonna get my brother back.
I'm sorry.
We need justice. We need justice. Yeah. Those 4 officers need to be arrested. They executed my brother in broad daylight. People had to film that. People had to see that. People pleaded for his life. Kids, I know they were out there seeing this. Nobody wanted to witness that. Nobody. Nobody should have to witness that. And I understand, and I see why a lot of people doing a lot of different things around the world. I don't want them to lash out like that, but I can't stop people right now because they have pain. They have the same pain that I feel. I want everything to be peaceful, but I can't make everybody be peaceful. I can't. It's hard.
Yeah.
Yep. We've got one person being arrested here. We've got. We're meeting. Yep, we're good. Yep. Hold on. I got you. Hold on. They had us here.
If you're just tuning in, you are watching our correspondent, Omar Jimenez, being arrested by state police in Minnesota. We're not sure why our correspondent is being arrested.
Hang on 1 second, Allison. Let's listen into what these officers are saying.
Yep. We've got one person being arrested here.
That is an American television reporter, Omar Jimenez, being led away.
Hold on. I got you. Hold on.
I'm tired of this Black Lives Matter lie. Yeah, everywhere you go, I go to Grubhub, Uber Eats, Twitter, Facebook. Hell, Instagram. I get a telemarketer calling me, please donate to Black Lives Matter. I'm tired of this damn lie, so I'm gonna expose it. Yeah, I'm not gonna tell you. I gotta show you, because if I don't show you, you're gonna call me a liar and a sellout and an Uncle Tom and a coon. Bad things happen to all races by the cops. Yeah, that catchphrase, Black Lives Matter, it duped a lot of us, but it didn't get us. Yeah, it's catchy though, but I didn't fall for it. Look here.
Newly released body camera footage of this police shooting shows Daniel Shaver's last moments. Police were responding to reports of a man pointing a rifle out of a hotel room window. begging for his life.
Then listen to my instructions. Don't talk, listen. Hands straight up in the air. Do not put your hands down for any reason. You think you're gonna fall, you better fall on your face. Your hands go back in the small of your back or down. We are going to shoot you. Do you understand me?
An officer then orders Shaver to crawl toward him. Shaver complies, but then moves his right hand behind him despite the warning.
This kid is drunk. Yeah. He's begging for his life. Yeah. And the cop shoots him anyway. Yeah. The cop walks. Yeah, gotta quit it. You didn't hear about it because he's white. They have split this country in half. Yeah. These riots, people actually think cops out there hunt down black people for the simple fact that they're black, and there's no evidence of that. None. Because it's all a lie. Because it's all a lie. Because it's all a lie.
They're just marching up and down the streets, and they formed a big bulkhead here at the end of at the corner.
The distant coverage in the sky was emulated on the ground by the scarce street reporters who tried to glide by without speaking to the protesters.
With the chants, no justice, no peace is what they're chanting. You can hear them now. We can still going here.
No justice, no justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. We ain't got nothing to say.
Change, people. There should never been a change of venue. There should never been a change of venue. And as a result, this is what you have. This is what you have. There's no Crips down here. There's no Bloods down here. There's just concerned citizens down here that don't like the way the system is done. This is what we're talking about.
Could you tell me, sir, could you tell me? Could you tell me?
The police are closing in. They're trying to surround us.
Okay, they're off.
No justice.
You did that, they cut us.
Huh?
They cut us when you did that. No justice.
Because it's all a lie. It's a lie to simply make black people feel that they're less American than everybody else. Yeah, to keep black people indebted. And look at Black Lives Matter organization. Look at all the contributions they get. Look where that money's going. It's going to Democrat presidential candidates. It's not going to black people. It's not going to black neighborhoods. No. It's going to rich old white men running for president. Oh, that's what I call white privilege. Yeah.
Let's get to what we all been waiting for, right?
Sexy as a motherfucker. Oh shit, let's see who this is. Right on time, right on time. Right on time. Who is it? What's going on, bro? What's going on, man? What's up? What's up?
You got better. You walking in like LeBron
James.
Oh, man. What's up?
What's your name, bro?
Man, Big Floyd. Floyd the landlord, man.
Floyd the landlord.
This is what we do, man. Feel me? You gotta get it right.
All right.
One time with the lovely, super lovely.
What's your name, girl?
Kimberly Brink.
Sexy.
Our young generation is clearly lost, man. Clearly lost, man. Like, I don't even know what to say no more, man. Like, you youngsters just going around, just busting guns in crowds, kids getting killed, you know, and it's clearly the generation after us, man, that's so lost, man. You know, man, I came into Houston and the nigga told me, yeah, Floyd, that young nigga the truth, man, right there, because he could bust a gun. Man, I knew it was crazy then, a nigga my age saying this here, man. You know what I'm saying? And condoning this shit, bro. You know what I'm saying? And like half them young niggas shooting them guns go home and they knees shaking at night. But they don't show it to nobody because, you know, they ain't tough then. Hey, man, come on home, man. One day it's gonna be you and God. You going up or you going down. You know what I'm saying?
So this was planned. If he's really not dead, it was planned. If he really is dead, this was a planned Freemasonic hit.
I gotta go in. Take a seat.
Grab a seat.
Man, y'all don't believe me. Take a seat. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm not that kind of guy, man. Take a seat. Y'all, I'm gonna die here. Take a seat. I'm gonna die, man. You need to take a seat right now. And I just had COVID, man. I don't want to go back to that.
Take a seat. I'll roll the windows down. Hey, listen.
Dang, man.
Listen.
I'm not that kind of guy.
I'll roll the windows down.
Please, man. Take a seat. I can't choke. I can't breathe.
Yeah, just when you get up, look.
On the ground.
I appreciate that. I do.
Mama, I love you. Reese, I love you.
You got hobble?
Yeah, my kids, I love them. I'm dead. I'm dead.
When the paramedics pull up, right? That is a fucking cop. That's not a paramedic. Who the fuck is that? That is not a medic. Medics don't just grab you like that. No paramedics or emergency responders ever showed up on the scene. The nigga got a whole vest on and a radio. Look. That is this shit was a psyop. Now, I don't really care that the nigga was a porn star, besides the fact that could accredit that he's acting. So if he really didn't die, then he does have an acting background. But if he did die, it was a hit. Now, I went to the nigga brother Instagram. This is his brother's Instagram. And I went all the way back to 2016. So you don't see the date, but scroll down to 2016. Hurry up before he delete it. Look what his brother said. My father's Mason brothers, 33, gave me something to cherish. My dad's gear. We'll be following your footsteps, Pops. Rest easy. Salute to all my Mason brothers. So once again, these niggas are Freemasons.
Well, I still got my seats. Now down on my knees, begging for what God can only know. What are we fighting for? What are we fighting for? What are we fighting for? 'Cause this is not our war.
We've gained access to a group of militant anti-fascists known as Antifa.
Are you filming now?
They don't usually like cameras around. Some cover their faces, and others want their voices disguised.
When the fascists stick their head out of the ground and say, we're going to be here on this day to march in support of our white greatness, that's gross. And that's when people organize, get together, and bash the fash.
Hard strikes to the Adam's apple, trachea area, really good.
In dozens of interviews, Faultlines caught a glimpse behind the mask of Antifa, questioning activists about the controversial tactics they've used to counter hate crimes. White supremacists have found a platform with the election of Donald Trump, but so have their adversaries.
Yelling is exhausting.
Antifa is a fringe movement, but their fight is found center stage in the polarized climate of Trump's America.
If anything comes up for you or you're triggered, in this environment, we care about your inner safety as well as your physical safety. That's how we roll as Antifa. We love people.
This is the collective of researchers waging information warfare to expose bigotry.
If your neighbor is a neo-Nazi who believes that the race war is imminent and wants to bring it about, we think you have a right to know that.
This is the street medic, tending to the wounds of violent protests.
During a lot of the Antifa actions, we're talking about stabbings, and we're talking about blunt force trauma wounds to the head, to the arms, to the legs. that's caused by police and by fascists.
And this is Antifa, from the view of a Trump supporter who can't seem to shake them.
There's a bunch of kids who call them anti-fascists, and they're acting like fascists themselves. It's kind of sad.
Antifa is a loose collection of organizations and ideas with no party line and no formal leadership. In the last year, they've been defined more by their street tactics than anything else.
They show up in the helmets and the black masks, and they've got clubs and they've got everything. Antifa!
The more the presidency looks like it's a shadow fascist government, the more scared people are going to get. And when people are scared, people act a little bit more erratic.
The first year of Trump saw an increase in hate crimes and racist violence. And Antifa has often responded to that threat with violence of their own. This is the street fighter training for battle. With one punch to the face of America's most infamous white supremacist, Antifa went viral.
How do you shut that down? A swift and beautiful punch to the face by a masked crusader.
But has this use of force translated into political power?
They watch that, kind of street porn. It plays completely into their hands. It's a very stupid tactic.
Nonviolence does attempt to appeal to the moral conscience of the nation. Now, the jury's still out if the nation has one.
This is Antifa.
This is war, it's not playtime. So yeah, punch Nazis, kill them, kill those f***ers dead.
It was a year ago when Josh Dukes first saw this video of Richard Spencer getting punched on Inauguration Day. The 35-year-old hacker, who goes by Hex, was across the country, watching from a Seattle hospital bed.
That's not probably going to change somebody's mind. I think that, it would have been better if it was an egg.
Earlier that day, he joined a large group of anti-fascists to protest a speech by Trump's supporter and provocateur, Milo Yiannopoulos.
I don't want you fighting. I just want to go listen to the man speak. Me and that. That's bull.
Inside the half-full auditorium at the University of Washington, Milo celebrated Trump's election with the college Republicans.
Newsflash for the radical left. You will never stop me, because you can't stop different opinions with violent intolerance. And we all now know, everybody now knows, where the violence is coming from.
Outside, Antifa tried to block people from attending the talk.
I wanted to be part of in the group of people who was there opposing that and opposing him. And what I ended up doing was jumping in and de-escalating in a few places.
A black-clad protester attacked this young Trump supporter and pelted him with paint. 30-year-old Mark Aquana was not able to get into the talk, so he spent the evening scuffling with anti-fascist protesters. When Aquana, seen here in the yellow hat, allegedly began pepper spraying the crowd, Hex stepped in to confront him.
The last thing I remember, I think I was holding with both hands the guy's jacket, yelling in his face, give me the pepper spray and I'll let you go. I'm gonna stop you, but I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just not gonna let you hurt anybody else. And then I remember being shot,
Aquana's wife, Elizabeth, allegedly emerged from behind her husband, pulled a gun from her holster, and fired one shot. This footage was edited by investigators to identify Hex and Aquana. It is now evidence in a criminal trial against the couple. The Aquana's attorney said that Elizabeth acted in self-defense.
Where'd the bullet go in? Oh, so it went in right here, basically. It's still weird. It still doesn't make sense.
They saw him! They saw him! He's bleeding!
For members of Antifa, Hex's shooting underscored a belief they had all along. In the Trump era, the threat of violence against them is increasingly real.
As we stretch and stuff, make sure you have enough space to spread your arms in every direction. I am Joe.
Tonight, Hex's friend Joe is leading a martial arts training in the Seattle park.
Try to swing your arms this way. The first technique is going to be based in the Wing Chun Kung Fu, which is you.
These activists are preparing to defend themselves with violence if necessary.
And so let's say you're going to get punched by somebody. Here I am, Proud Boy drinking, or traditionalist workers' party person trying to call you a comrade while being a Klan member. Here I go, and I'm gonna punch you, because you see through that. All right, there you go, good. What part of the campus Republicans? I want to build a wall to keep out the immigrants, because that is funny to my rich crack. And I'm gonna hit you, oh my God, there we go. All right, yeah, thank you.
Hex is still recovering from the gunshot wound that almost took his life. A year later, he's taking a break from the street protest. But Joe and his crew went to the Women's March, where thousands of Seattle residents have gathered to oppose the Trump administration.
No Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA. No Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA. No Trump.
One of Antifa's adversaries is also on the scene. Trump supporter Joey Gibson has just arrived.
So for me, the most important thing is freedom. That's how simple it is for me.
He represents like fascist populism, or just like the idea of like hiding behind traditional American values.
Gibson's group is called Patriot Prayer. He's made a point of marching in liberal towns to remind everyone that Trump is president.
It was one of the best nights of my life. I was so happy and so excited. And at that point, you know, I thought that like I was gonna be able to sit back and just relax, but things got even crazier after he was elected. The organizers of the rally are trying to say that Trump supporters are fascists. So we're gonna get some people with Trump gear up there and to kind of go into the crowd and talk to people and kind of help them understand that, you know, Trump supporters are human too. You know, they're not Nazis.
Are you looking out for Antifa today? Yeah, but we've seen them here and there with their masks off, so they're not here in their black bloc, so that's good. Get excited, man. Get ready to get pepper sprayed. Do you have glasses? Yeah, when we go in there, hell yeah, gonna get sprayed.
Feminism is cancer. It's going to destroy this economy. It's going to destroy this.
White supremacy right there, white supremacy, queerphobia, transphobia, misogyny, misogynoir, all in one go.
How you doing?
Today, Gibson is marching with a group of right-wing Christian street preachers.
They wouldn't let us in the indigenous people section, though?
What? Not even him? I'm tolerant towards everybody, especially if what they're doing is using their free speech.
Women want to rule the household. They want to run gangs. They want to have the right to kill their children if they want to. They don't want men to have that role of leadership.
When you guys gonna start preaching?
That gets to walk around with nothing but actual hate that leads to rape and murder, and like his rights are protected. If I go over there and do anything to him, I'm spending the night in the cage.
I am here to promote freedom. I am here to free Seattle. I'm here to promote love. We're here to promote God. We're here to promote freedom, ladies and gentlemen. You are being used. Learn to be a woman.
Hater, time to go home.
With Antifa in the wings, Gibson's loudest challenge comes from the women in pink hats. It appears that Joe's tactics today will not include any punching. Instead, he'll try to shout Gibson down.
What am I doing? Stay back. What am I doing? I'm outnumbered right now. I'm not doing. Yo, dude.
At times, Joe also tries for dialogue.
Reaching out to you and subjecting myself to attacks from these to actually try to speak to you and speak to your heart, speak to your soul. I did the same you did. I surrounded myself with a bunch of white Nazis because I was sick and wanted to belong, and I got better. I hope you get better before some dumb happens to you. And what do you believe in?
Freedom.
Freedom.
That's right.
But who do you feel like you're defending by being here now?
I mean, I'm defending my own sense of peace of mind. I don't want to just go and just leave these in what is my city right now. At the very least, if I can be here and scream, that's better than doing nothing. It makes me feel better than doing nothing. So that's what's up.
Chris Hedges has written multiple essays criticizing Antifa. He says the fight is not with fringe groups, but with corporate and government forces.
We're in serious trouble, but it's not these idiots who are putting us in trouble. We have very dark, sinister, totalitarian forces that are snuffing out the last vestiges of American democracy. And we better revolt, we better respond. And carrying out these kinds of street confrontations plays right into the hands of these centers of power.
Natasha Leonard wrote an essay defending the masked activist who punched Richard Spencer. She says you can't ignore the link between Trump's election and the spike of incidents of racist harassment that have followed.
I don't think they'd go away if you're ignoring them. They have a president.
Since Trump's election, violent conflicts have exploded in college towns like Berkeley, California, raising questions about hate speech and political violence. These are questions that Berkeley's mayor has grappled with all year.
It's not surprising when we have a president who openly talks about beating people up and is fanning the flames of hatred and division. And we're seeing those divisions, that rift, actually happen on the streets of the city of Berkeley.
Last August, a broad coalition of activists here marched to oppose hate groups, and they invited Antifa to play a defensive role at the protest. Joey Gibson was also there. Gibson's clear. He wants to bait people on the left, especially Antifa, into acts of violence.
Just keep going out there, preach love, preach freedom, and get it on camera, have them assaulting us, and so the people in the world knows who they really are.
When Gibson entered a Berkeley Park with his hands up, he got his wish.
I mean, they took the bait, you know, so I guess I'm thankful for that.
As this mob of black-clad activists chased him out, Gibson's broad definition of free speech collided with Antifa's broad definition of self-defense.
Dude, I don't want to do this.
The footage from that day is hard for Gibson to watch.
Can't.
Is that hard to watch?
Yeah,
The event's organizers refused to apologize for the violence.
Why is that hard to watch?
This medic, a veteran of street protests around the world, agrees.
A little bit of violence is okay. It looks as though the mob is trying to push these people out of a zone, and they succeeded in doing that. It didn't look like anyone was going to die. The goal was to make them leave, and that seems to be the result. Like, big deal. They're fascists. They should leave.
Gibson was prevented from spreading his message in Berkeley, and Antifa claimed victory.
It was horrendous. It's a horrible thing that happened yesterday. I think
the next day, he found a platform. The incident won him an appearance on Fox News.
Talk about him and they'll just go away. No, we got to stand up to Antifa.
Antifa's tactics caused concern for these former Berkeley students.
They were the violent ones. They really were. And maybe they're proud of that. And maybe they think that's the first step toward a revolution that's going to make the world better.
Their free speech movement 50 years ago ended a campus ban on political organizing during the civil rights and anti-war movements. Students won after months of non-violent tactics, including marches, sit-ins, and a mass arrest inside the university's administration building.
We've finally gotten into a position where we have to consider being responsible because, now we have the freedom within which to be responsible.
I can't tell you how many times we were assaulted and we didn't fight back.
I think we were very dedicated to nonviolence. At that point was a tactic that we felt was important to keep focused on the issue and not on the violence.
I've had Antifa guys tell me that if you walk around with a swastika band on in America, you should get punched in the face.
Look,
with those open beliefs anymore.
Ultimately, how old are they? Are they 2? They must have gone to kindergarten with the president. That's why nonviolence is important. You don't want to play into their provocation.
I cannot cousin their belief in violence as a useful response to violence. And I see it as walking right into a very useful resolution to our social conflicts, which is civil war.
Now the right wing has taken up the free speech movement's legacy, and the debate has taken a bizarre turn.
Is there a fight in the street to be waged against them? And if so, how should it be waged?
There are ways, and we should respond. But punching people in the face or advocating censorship or the abolition of free speech is a very dangerous road to begin to walk down. The speech is repugnant, but Once the left starts arguing for censorship and the abolition of free speech, which the state is only ultimately too happy to embrace, it's always the left that pays.
White supremacy is violence. In pretty much every state, people have self-organized and said, like, we don't stand for this, and we're not going to ask politely to have an institution disinvite them. We're not going to ask for institutional authority at all. We're going to turn up with our bodies and say, not in my space.
That's what protesters did last August to oppose a major gathering of hate groups in Charlottesville, Virginia. It ended tragically when a neo-Nazi allegedly murdered 32-year-old Heather Heyer.
I did not anticipate someone driving a car into a crowd. I did not anticipate the police standing down. And I did not anticipate Antifa protecting us.
Reverend Sekou came to march alongside clergy in Charlottesville that day. They formed a line to block white supremacists from gathering in a park. Sekou brought non-violent tactics that have been a hallmark of the Black Lives Matter movement. These tactical differences have led to tensions with Antifa in the streets during protests against police brutality.
Ferguson, the black bloc showed up. And you know, they ready to bust some heads. And I walked over to them, I was like, look, I need y'all to stand down. Because if you clown, our asses are the ones that are gonna get beat.
But in Charlottesville, Antifa used force to defend clergy from attacks by neo-Nazis.
Would have been crushed if it was not for Antifa. So they saved my life. And so for me, I saw the gospel embodied in some kids dressed in black and red who came to me and said, Reverend, I will give my life for you. And so somewhere I read, there is no greater love than to lay your life down for a friend.
The act of violence that killed Heather Heyer fractured an ascendant white supremacist movement, despite attempts by President Trump to spread the blame.
I think there's blame on both sides. You look at both sides. I think there's blame on both sides.
No white supremacy, no neo-Nazis.
Back on the West Coast, opposition to right-wing groups like Joey Gibson's intensified. In response, Gibson denounced neo-Nazis from the stage of a rally in Seattle.
So the day after Charlottesville, we had a rally. Thousands of people just wanted to kill us. Like, they were mad. They were like, they looked at me like I was Charlottesville. It was bad. It was bad for a little bit there. I don't see a white supremacist problem on the West Coast, but tell that to the thousands of protesters that show up and stuff.
But in Portland, Rose City Antifa does see a white supremacy problem. They've found it repeatedly at Gibson's rallies. These researchers use a tactic called doxing to publicize the personal details of their adversaries. Joey Gibson, bigot enabler. Rose City Antifa found out where Gibson worked and encouraged people to contact his employer.
We thought it best to attempt to disrupt his income, which would maybe keep him a little bit too busy to continue organizing at such a rate.
Days after the doxing campaign began, Gibson left his job.
When you have people at your rallies who are organizing explicitly for white nationalist violence or to try and build an ethno-state, those are threats of violence. That's something that needs to be addressed.
Rose City Antifa targeted Gibson after scanning the crowd at his March for Free Speech in April. There, they found two notorious white supremacists.
We see here Jake Ott was photographed shaking hands with Jeremy Christian immediately after Jeremy Christian was throwing a fascist Roman salute, which is obviously well associated with the Nazis.
Weeks after this protest, Jeremy Christian was arrested and charged with aggravated murder and hate crimes after allegedly stabbing 3 people on a Portland train.
Death to the enemies of America. Leave this country if you hate our freedom. Death to Antifa.
Last summer, Antifa found this interview with Jake Van Ott, an organizer for a group called Identity Europa.
Identity Europa would be understood as what it is, as a hate group, and would be shut down by the community if they tried to hold their own rallies. What they do instead is attend other right-wing rallies and then try to recruit people over to their more explicitly white nationalist and neo-Nazi ideology. We doxed him and provided really, really ugly receipts of his neo-Nazi activity and neo-Nazi beliefs from posts that he had made on social media. He subsequently dropped out of organizing in Identity Europa.
Gibson told us he's repeatedly denounced Van Noot, including on a day in August when he took this photo at one of his rallies. That's Van Noot, standing right behind him. Gibson is still in the streets, but his turnout tonight is smaller. Antifa is following close behind him, doubling the crowd.
We're not going to allow Portland to run Oregon. We're not going to allow Seattle to run Washington.
These battles for the streets are not enough for Gibson.
2018 is going to be a great year for
In February, he announced a run for U.S. Senate.
this year. The hatred, the evil that you feel in your hearts, you don't have to be that way.
While Gibson seeks a larger stage, Antifa faces questions over its own political future.
We have to build a movement that appeals to at least some of those centers of power if we're going to bring the corporate state down. Which means that number one, it has to be nonviolent, and number two, it has to have a vision and a moral force. I don't see them as politically mature in any way.
So what else is Antifa? And what sort of movement do they want to build?
Somewhere around here. There's a pool of blood up here, or a shot.
Since his shooting, Hex has been trying to answer that question, searching for a different form of justice in his case. 5 days after being shot, Hex gave a statement to police. He told them he did not want his attacker to be prosecuted.
January 25th, 2017. I'm with a victim. Josh, can you say your full name? Spell your last name.
Joshua Phelan Dukes.
This is audio from his conversation with the detective.
Things have been really, really blurry. I'm still on a lot of medication. The thing that I want isn't really a prosecution. I don't want to participate in a system that punishes people.
To Hex, the systems of policing and mass incarceration are also forms of fascism.
You know, the prison population is already pretty big, and putting more people into cages doesn't really seem to be helping a lot.
He sent this letter to the Hoquanas through his attorney.
My client believes a restorative justice-informed community response to Friday's violence is the ethical and effective path forward. My client wishes to express his empathy for the person who shot him.
Hex says he won't testify at the trial of his attackers. Instead, he prefers a resolution with the Hoquanas outside of court.
I've seen my friends attacked repeatedly again and again. It's really, really hard to maintain hey, let's de-escalate, right? Because this system of violence pushes people to escalate.
May I touch you? May I touch your body? Okay, can I see you throw your arms up?
I'm gonna keep trying to do my thing. I kind of just hope that people are able to build the world that we want to see, work towards the world that we want to see, and do that with compassion, not only for other people, but for ourselves.
Mary, you came out here tonight to stand against children going to adult drag shows. And you were just asking, is this Antifa? This is your first view of Antifa. What do you think about that?
They're violent, and they don't care. They even punched me. I got a punch.
You got punched?
Oh, yes, I did.
This is how tough Antifa is. They punched a lady. They punched her. Sorry, I didn't mean to call you an old lady. But they punched Mary. You punched Mary.
Ghetto Robin Williams.
Hey, look.
Hey, hey, smile for me, Robin.
Look good, man. All the way from D.C.
Shame on them.
But they hit you. Are you okay?
Oh, no, I'm okay. I was worried about you more.
I can handle them.
No, I got knocked over, but I'm okay.
What are you doing, bro?
Careful, but I'm okay.
Nah.
Except disgraceful. I have great-grandchildren, and I couldn't even imagine my great-grandchildren going to something like this.
Yeah.
It's abominable. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
Sodom and Gomorrah.
The history of Antifa. America's cities have endured a summer of anarchy, from Minneapolis to Chicago to Portland. Radical leftists have burned, looted, and rioted while protected by Democrat mayors and governors. The vanguard of these lawless rioters is Antifa, a group of left-wing extremists who attack their political opponents and police officers to advance their socialist agenda. Despite Antifa's obvious involvement in the recent rioting, Democrats like New York's Jerry Nadler pretend Antifa doesn't even exist.
It is true. There's violence across the whole country. Do you disavow the violence from Antifa that's happening in Portland right now? There's riots.
That's a myth that's being spread only in Washington, D.C.
About Antifa in Portland?
Yes.
Sir, there's videos everywhere online. There's fires and riots. They're throwing fireworks at federal officers. DHS is there. Look online. It gets crazy, Mr. Nadler.
So who are Antifa? And why do Democrats run cover for them? Antifa has a dark history. As Germany's Weimar Republic collapsed in the 1930s, extremist political groups fought in the streets to secure political power. One of the primary combatants was the Communist Party of Germany, which founded a street fighting unit called Anti-Fascist Action. That's right, Antifa was the communist paramilitary street gang. After World War II, Antifa found new life in the United States punk music scene in the late 80s and 90s, under the pretense of fighting neo-Nazis and white supremacy. These punk music bands joined with some young communist revolutionaries tied to the domestic terror group Weather Underground to form Anti-Racist Action, or the ARA. The ARA has deep ties to other revolutionary communist groups, including the May 19th Communist Organization, which was home to various prominent domestic terrorists. The group committed numerous bombings and robberies and endorsed communist takeovers in Latin America. A common theme for these communist groups was to use anti-racism as a front to commit violent criminal acts, much like Antifa does. Today's Antifa are direct descendants of these domestic communist groups. In fact, members of these older groups joined forces in 2013 and founded Torch Antifa, one of the largest networks of Antifa groups in the United States. Through large, loose networks like Torch Antifa, smaller groups of Antifa radicals have staged violent attacks and riots with little accountability in these Democratic-run cities. In fact, Democrats have encouraged Antifa as they terrorize cities such as Berkeley, Portland, Minneapolis, and Kenosha. See for yourself.
This is mostly a protest.
Peaceful protest.
Peaceful protest.
Peaceful protesters. Peaceful protest. Peaceful protest. A more peaceful night of protesting. Peaceful protest. 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 Peaceful protest.
But when we allow white nationalists and white supremacists to infiltrate our peaceful protests,
this is, I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country. Maybe there will be.
From the 1930s Germany to today, Antifa's goal has not changed: to instigate a violent communist revolution. However, President Trump, Attorney General Barr, the FBI, and the Department of Homeland Security are working to bring an end to Antifa's control of the streets and restore law and order to our nation. The world has enough failed communist hellscapes, and we cannot allow the radical left and their Antifa street fighters to transform the United States into another one.
organization Refuse Fascism, refusefascism.org, has put forward a call and a plan and is actively building for that mass mobilization.
Police killed a man allegedly trying to burn down a detention center. Seattle Anti-Fascist Action is hailing that Antifa disciple as a martyr.
Body cam video released by Seattle police show the violent confrontation between officers and protesters.
I want to be clear in how I characterize this. This is mostly a protest. It is not, generally speaking, unruly.
And when conditions become ripe, people do get the opportunity to choose a different system. That is to change the whole system through a revolutionary struggle and a revolutionary transformation.
While they do this under the cover of anti-fascism, the reality is that Antifa defines the entire American political system, regardless of party affiliation, as fascism.
Some protesters at some building in Portland, Oregon.
You disavow the violence from Antifa? That's happening in Portland right now?
That's myth.
This division, this insurrectionist revolutionary arm of American politics, that Antifa represents, it serves the interests of Russia and China, because as they seek to weaken America on the world stage, Antifa seeks to usurp and revolt against America here in our own domestic backyard. That is the threat that they pose. That is their goal. They don't support Republicans. They don't support Democrats. They support anarchy and violent revolution. That is who they are. And so those that would benefit from that do include America's foreign adversaries.
Hey, sounds good.
Since COVID, something's felt off.
Stand here on International Women's Day.
Whether it's men pretending to be women, speaking on behalf of women at Women's Day, or the mass immigration that we see continuing through our nation.
Thousands of Brits have been taken to the streets to peacefully protest.
I'm a chef and the hospitality trade is in ruins with the policies that are being put in place, and I was made redundant on the 3rd of July and I've not been able to find work since. A couple more months and I won't be able to afford my rent. But
As with all other COVID-related protests, this one was terminated early when the riot police aggressively intervened.
I was quite shocked, particularly by the behaviour of the TSG riot police on the 26th of September, because the demonstration was absolutely, completely peaceful. Columns of riot police waded into the crowds, batons drawn, people were injured, people's faces were bloodied, a woman was pushed off her chair. That, to me, is unacceptable behaviour from that unit of the Metropolitan Police. Who gave the order for that to happen?
Chairman, I'm not sure if... I just don't know enough about the facts. I'm not sure if I can accept the premise of the facts set up by the member.
Images of police brutality and unlawful arrests against people who are defending their human rights are also being shared around the world.
The French capital, once again the scene of clashes between police and demonstrators.
Toda minha família se dedica à hostelaria. Eu sou hosteleiro, minha mãe, meu pai, todos. Sabe o que fazemos agora? O caldo de merda com a pastilha de creme. Não tinha para manjar. Nada. Nada.
Israeli police fired water cannons to disperse demonstrators.
Anti-government rallies have filled the streets of Serbia's capital, Belgrade, for a second day.
Police made 74 arrests and handed out 176 fines as protesters assembled for a second day in a row.
I'm so scared, it's ruining our business.
The testing is a sham. It's decimating our whole economy.
Why should I arrest?
You got a baby. You ain't got the baby. Leave her alone. Ellos óyennos.
Rechtsanwalt Markus Heinz.
I'm sure to many Irish people, even those not fully aware or awake, know this. People turned on their own families, shunned loved ones for choices that they made, all because the state screamed about a virus and told them that if they went outside, they'd kill Granny unless we locked everybody up into a communist police state. And the Irish, they complied. We as a people are very, very gullible and institutionalised. We're trained that way, eager to be the teacher's pet, nodding along to every tax, every regulation that's imposed on us.
And unfortunately, when I look at Europe today, it's sometimes not so clear what happened to some of the Cold War's winners. I look to Brussels, where EU commissars warn citizens that they intend to shut down social media during times of civil unrest the moment they spot what they've judged to be, quote, hateful content. Or to this very country, where police have carried out raids against citizens suspected of posting anti-feminist comments online as part of, quote, combating misogyny on the internet, a day of action. I look to Sweden, where 2 weeks ago the government convicted a Christian activist for participating in Koran burnings that resulted in his friend's murder. And as the judge in his case chillingly noted, Sweden's laws to supposedly protect free expression do not, in fact, grant, and I'm quoting, a free pass to do or say anything without risking offending the group that holds that belief. And perhaps most concerningly, I look to our very dear friends, the United Kingdom, where the backslide away from conscience rights has placed the basic liberties of religious Britons in particular in the crosshairs. A little over 2 years ago, the British government charged Adam Smith Connor, a 51-year-old physiotherapist and an Army veteran, with the heinous crime of standing 50 meters from an abortion clinic and silently praying for 3 minutes. not obstructing anyone, not interacting with anyone, just silently praying on his own. And after British law enforcement spotted him and demanded to know what he was praying for, Adam replied simply, it was on behalf of the unborn son he and his former girlfriend had aborted years before. Now, the officers were not moved. Adam was found guilty of breaking the government's new buffer zones law, which criminalizes silent prayer and other actions that could influence a person's decision within 200 meters of an abortion facility. He was sentenced to pay thousands of pounds in legal costs to the prosecution. Now, I wish I could say that this was a fluke, a one-off crazy example of a badly written law being enacted against a single person, but no. This last October, just a few months ago, the Scottish government began distributing letters to citizens whose houses lay within so-called safe access zones, warning them that even private prayer within their own homes may amount to breaking the law. Naturally, the government urged readers to report any fellow citizens suspected guilty of thought crime. In Britain and across Europe, free speech, I fear, is in retreat.
Are you protesting?
No.
Are you here to pray for the lives of unborn children?
As I've mentioned to one of your colleagues before, I think that's a little bit of a leading question. No, I'm not, actually, today.
Can your actions be carried out elsewhere?
I'm not doing any actions. I'm just simply thinking silently in my head.
Okay, and why have you chosen this location to stand?
This is an abortion centre. I'm praying for those who've been hurt by abortion.
So, when I said before, are you here to pray for the lives of unborn children?
Yes.
So yes.
I said no.
You said no.
I'm praying for those who've been hurt by abortion.
Hurt by abortion?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. So are you aware there's a public space protection order in place here?
Yes, I don't know if you know, but I have actually been arrested twice. I've gone to court and been acquitted for allegedly my silent prayers. I've actually received an email from the police telling me I'm allowed to be in this area. I don't know if you're familiar with that situation at all.
This is the exclusion area?
Yes, that's right. That's why I was arrested previously. So yes, I'm very much aware there's a PSPO in place.
Okay. And are you aware that you are breaching the public order protection order in place?
I'm not breaching it, no.
Will you move from here to outside of the exclusion zone?
I don't see any reason why I would need to do that for the reasons I've just explained to you.
Okay. So if not, why are you not willing to move outside the exclusion zone?
Because of what I've just said, because I don't think I need to move outside the exclusion zone. I've been to court over this.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to issue a fixed penalty notice now.
So what am I being issued a fixed penalty notice for?
Because I believe, and my colleague believes, that you're here to protest.
I've just told you I'm not protesting, I'm simply silently praying.
We may give out in a pub, but that's about it. Just take one look at the new bottles and cans return recycling scheme. With the current cost of living and housing crisis, with the overburdening of resources, businesses shutting down by the day, with everything else going on in this country, they introduce more and more regulations and more taxes, and we just comply. The price of this return scheme on a person's weekly shopping is fucking scandalous. But then the people have to spend their precious time returning the plastic bottles and these cans. Never mind that the Irish people are already paying for recycling bins. But no, that's not good enough.
From February the 1st, every time you purchase a beverage in a plastic bottle or an aluminium can, you'll be charged a small deposit, 15 cent or 25 cent, depending on the size of the container. And when you bring that container back to a participating supermarket or shop, you'll get your deposit back by means of a voucher, which you can use against your next shop in that store, or you can redeem it for cash. There's an EU directive, the Single-Use Plastics Directive, that has set targets for all the countries in Europe in terms of recycling rates. So we have to achieve 77% recycling on these products by 2025 and 90% by 2029. So it's been proven globally that the only way to do that is through a separate collection deposit return scheme. We expect we'll have about 2,000 what we call reverse vending machines in the supermarkets and stores by February the 1st. So there should be great coverage across Ireland come February the 1st. This isn't pioneering stuff. There's over 40 countries already have deposit return schemes in place, including 13 in Europe, Denmark, Norway, Germany, Finland. They're all operating at over 90% recycling.
What customers need to do is return their empty and undamaged plastic or aluminum cans to store, stick them in the machine here, and they'll receive a money back voucher that they can use in their local store.
You have to waste our precious time feeding cans upon cans and bottles upon bottles into a machine for mere butter vouchers. That's progress. Are you fucking having a laugh? The Irish will complain in a pub as per usual, so institutionalised that they think they must comply, that the very system that's created all these problems and is enslaving us for this globalist new world order will eventually somehow fix it for them. The only one who can fix this is us. We the people standing together against the enemies within our dial, every last one of them. Sinn Féin, People Before Profit, all the fake opposition, they're not fucking in here to help you. Every last Bolshevik communist within our society, our communities and institutions must be weeded out and dealt with as traitors of our nation. As I stated, I believe only a mass rebellion, a civil war, can stop this communist new world order. Do we continue with the facade that if we keep doing what we're doing the past 6 years, where our people are getting attacked in peaceful demos, now we're going to make somehow some difference? That getting a few likes and retweets on social media is going to fucking sort this? The definition of insanity, folks, is repeating the same things over and over and expecting different results. The international globalists is the enemy, not the far-right boogeyman. The establishment will have people believe that people all over the world have just turned into far-right Nazis, fascists overnight. There's no poking, there's no reason why they just done this, they just came out of the woodwork. Yet every single one of the same establishment scumbags, parasites, trade unions, every last one of them are compromised. Your church under the Pope is compromised. None of these people are here to save you. Peaceful demos and Twitter rants may feel good and may feel like you're achieving something, but all these things alone is not going to stop this globalist machine.
Yes, scumbags! You fucking bastards! You fucking bastards! Shake the fucking ass! You alright? You fucking bastards! Let them get the woman out! Let them get the woman out, will you? Will you let them help the woman? Let them help the woman! Let them help! Let them help the woman, will you? Jesus Christ, lads! Come on, lads!
You fucking horrible scumbag! A woman on her knees! You fucking horrible scumbag!
Is that torch? Jesus Christ, man, this is... They're the lagging too there, look.
A woman on her fucking knees, you dirty horrible scumbag!
Look, and they're still spraying it. Look, there's nobody near them and they're still spraying it. Children, empower children, absolute cowards. Make sure you get off.
You're gonna do a fucking thing there. You're gonna do a fucking thing. Let him in there, let him in there. Look at that, knee in the fucking head. How do you feel about this? Will you get off his fucking back? You're getting fucking new one. You're fucking over there. Get him up. Fucking dirty bastard. Fucking bastard. Scumbags. Yeah. Scummer. You fucking do what? Yeah.
Either civil war or a mass rebellion, but we need organisation and we need it now. That's what it's going to take to break this communist chokehold. Trusting wholeheartedly in any one patriot, or too many fake patriots, who are just globalist plants, is not going to achieve anything either. I know what I stand for. I know who my enemy is. And in the art of war, this is all it takes to achieve victory over the enemy. Knowing yourself and knowing your enemy. What do I stand for? I love Ireland, my country, with every beat of my heart. The love of my nation, and with it, everything that comes with her, whether it's her culture, heritage, or its unique ethnic people. I'm talking about our religious ethos that's structured a strong ethics and morals for centuries until these same globalists infiltrated it and destroyed it from within. I'm not here to play nice or sugarcoat it. This nation belongs to us, the ethnic Irish, and we should be the ones running it. Not some foreign suits or sellout politicians screwing us over with never-ending rules and regulations, mandates and taxes from globalist think tank bodies such as United Nations, World Economic Forum, European Union, World Health Organization. All these treasonous globalist corporations and think tanks need to be wiped from this country. And that we ensure we must break out of this slavery, this institutionalized slavery that from our state indoctrination in the schooling system has taught us that we must serve the state. No, the state serves the nation, and with it, the nation's people. We deserve a nation where Irish people thrive and not where we are pushed aside or treated like dirt, where we are forced to bend over for foreign invaders and foreign ideologies. We owe these people nothing, not legally, not morally. Very soon, your children and their children will be waking up and seeing us, the ethnic Gael Irish, turned into strangers in our own home. A minority that these strangers, these foreign invaders, who now make up the majority, has been conditioned and taught to hate. That's not just wrong, it's a death sentence for who we are. And here's the real conversation: nobody's coming to save us. Not the government, not law, and certainly not politics. Not some hero on a white horse. Trump isn't going to save you, Elon Musk isn't going to save you, Putin isn't certainly going to save you. It's on us. It's on the ethnic Irish people, and we've got to fight for ourselves. The question I'll ask you: do you believe in the right for the island of Ireland to belong to the ethnic Irish race, and for those people who have the right to self-govern and steer their nation in a way that helps the Irish people prosper? Do you believe that the nation of Éire should not be ruled by enemies, either domestic or foreign, who place policies that are harmful to the Irish people? It's a rigged game. Marxists, anarchists, communists, and even many fake nationalists, all actors on the same stage. Order out of chaos is their motto of the New World Order. They play both sides like Punch and Judy, keeping us hooked on the drama, while one puppeteer pulls the strings. And as I said earlier, unless you know yourself and you know who your enemy is, you're just a pawn, a spectator, watching Ireland crumble to its very destruction, and unfortunately to our very extinction. The fight is here and now, and like our ancestors before us, we must ask ourselves: do you stand up? Are you willing to sacrifice for God, nation, and our people's survival? This isn't about here and now. This isn't about you and I. This is about our race who are becoming extinct. Or do you stay quiet, step back, and let these globalist parasites and our traitors within government ensure our very peoples are wiped from existence? What you do in life will echo for an eternity. We can choose to stand and fight, or we can watch our nation and people be erased out of existence. Here in the broth.
The word reset, I think, is appropriate, because we are now still fighting the virus, but we can be rather optimistic after what we have seen with the announcement of vaccines. Now we have to think how to structure, how to design the post-corona era. And here, of course, the word reset comes to my mind, because one thing is clear: we cannot come back to the old normal. We have to use this opportunity, as our parents and grandparents have done after the World War II, to really reflect on what went wrong and what could we do better.
What is your priority when you would, if you could, initiate this reset?
I think there are three dimensions, three priorities. The first one is to make the world more resilient, because we definitively will have to face other surprises, black swans as they are called, maybe different kinds of viruses. Second, we have to make the world more inclusive, fair, because we have seen that we have reached unsustainable degrees of levels of people who felt excluded. And finally, we have to make the world much greener. We finally have to put all our energy behind the decarbonization in order to avoid a major catastrophe in the future.
We want to go to a new normal. We want to build back better, as people say.
To not just rebuild, but to build back better.
I believe the emphasis must be on building back better.
It's essential that we continue to do everything we can across the island to not only fight this pandemic, but to build back better and stronger.
We want to ensure that after this COVID pandemic, instead of emerging with a return to the status quo,
we're instead in a position to build back better.
And as we build back better, it is vital that we do so in a sustainable and green manner.
A fundamental question for all of us now as we come out of COVID in terms of how we can build back better.
And we have an opportunity post-pandemic to rebuild, and can we, to borrow a phrase from Joe Biden, build back better.
That is what we would call building back better.
So in past contributions, Minister, just to conclude, I've invoked the mantra of build back better.
So that we can rebuild our economy and rebuild our society and build back better.
But also in terms of building back better.
If we are serious about building back better,
the Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, has called on the global community to build back better. We need to share that vision for the future.
This is a unique opportunity for all of Europe to build back better.
And I think Dr. Muldoon's emphasis on building back better is very timely.
In particular, that kind of build back better and a green recovery, I think, is really, really positive.
So instead of building back better, what is happening is the capitalist economies are restarting.
And it's a huge funding programme, and it's all about building back better.
And we've learned a lot along the way, and we can't miss the opportunity to build back better.
You know, we need to build back better.
And we're talking about build back better.
Build back better.
This is the better in build back better, and the better seems to have been lost.
Members and supporters of Clonairon and Unscianar Siúnta, the National Shield of Clonairon, our new nationalist group, which was formed for the purpose of representing authentic Irish nationalism in the 21st century. No better place to come than here to Belnablaw, with the anniversary and commemoration of the death of General Michael Collins. Because here, even the weather is expressing the gloom of what occurred on this day so many years ago. If you're opposed to the treaty of 1921, then what happened here is perhaps just a personal tragedy that happened to a particular man who signed the wrong treaty. But if you come from the perspective, the broader perspective of Irish history and Irish manhood, you realize that more than one man died here, and that there was more than one tragedy here. That the great tragedy of the Irish independence movement, which was hundreds and hundreds of years old, and yet here at this corner of County Cork, the great disaster happened. The man who should have led Ireland in its first years of freedom and independence. Whatever you think about how much freedom we have, or whatever you think about the limitations on the treaty, it was, as he said, our freedom to achieve freedom. And yet, by the roadside here, he died. Shot, who knows? The conspiracy theories abound as to whether he was shot by the Free State side or whether he was shot straightforwardly by the Republican ambush. But throughout the country, when it happened, pro and anti-treaty alike recognised that a great disaster had befallen us, for we had lost that great man, and whatever his faults and whatever his virtues, the freedom to achieve freedom that he believed he had brought home was gone, because it would be betrayed by his successors in the Free State government. And it would be betrayed and betrayed and betrayed again. The 6 counties of the north would be abandoned. The Boundary Commission would come of nothing. The membership of Ireland of the Commonwealth would continue and continue and continue almost forever. There seemed to be no end to Cosgrave's government's willingness to accept the heel of the British Empire still upon the neck of the Irish people. And we may commemorate this great man, General Michael Collins, but also to share in that sadness of the loss. And yet,
we have to look ahead. We have to understand that we are, for our time in the 21st century, beholden, duty bound, no choice, but to meet again in a perilous time, on a gloomy day, in this edge of County Cork. A perilous time, perhaps even in many ways more perilous, because what we're talking about now is the very existence of the Irish nation. Not a sovereign republic or a free state or some political formula, but the actual existence of the Irish nation as a nation and as a people. And not since the Great Famine has the existential question of whether Ireland shall be or not be, whether the Irish people shall live or not live, been in the balance. But it is in the balance now, and it has been put in the balance by mass immigration specifically. Ireland is no longer Irish in the total sense of the word. We have given many areas over, and our government has colluded in giving many areas over to foreigners of all descriptions. Some of those foreigners are Europeans, and yes, in the long run and in small numbers they could assimilate, but not in the numbers in which they have come. And we look at the people who are supposed to have come from the Ukraine, yet it is common knowledge to anybody who actually knows what they're talking about that a Ukrainian passport can be bought on eBay, and it's not even that expensive. And so how many Ukrainians are Ukrainian anyway? And everywhere we find IPAS centers, so-called protection centers. When you look at the people who are crowding into these protection centers, you see they are not the kind of people who need protecting. In fact, the key question needs to be asked. If they did flee a war-torn country, if they did flee for their own safety, why did they leave their wives and their children behind? What kind of men are they? In their 20s, their 30s, and their 40s, who have come here on their own for safety and protection from Ireland. If they say there is a war in their own country, if they say their women and children are in danger, if they say they are in danger. No, we owe these people nothing. We owe these people nothing, even if they were telling the truth, and largely most of the time they are not. And so it has fallen to us in the 21st century to be the guardians of the Irish nation in this existential struggle. And we have no Michael Collins to lead us. And thus, we must lead ourselves. Thus, we must guard Ireland with our own hands. For there is no saviour to come to our aid. Tá Éireann exists as a political organisation that people can join and be involved in and be part of this struggle. And we know that there will be a desperate effort to silence us politically, not just in the media, not just in terms of the coverage we get in newspapers or the lies that are told about us, but literally, physically, we know this. Because some of the people behind me were involved in the National Party before, and they were there at the Ardèche when the communists came to what would have been regarded as a much more moderate expression of national identity, with hammers and possibly even knives, to bludgeon their way into that conference to silence people. We cannot allow a political organisation which is the lifeblood of the nation to be at the mercy and whim of communist mobs, of leftist mobs. And so, on Scian Oshute, the National Shield, the SN, is here too and will be going forward to make sure that the Irish people in the first instance get an opportunity to hear what it is that we have to say, that we cannot be silenced, that we are not here to create violence. We are not here to provoke violence, but we will protect ourselves. We will protect ourselves from the foreign invader. We will protect ourselves from the red mobs. And we will protect ourselves too from the overreaching arm of so-called law and order, as we saw it expressed in Newtown Mount Kennedy, as we see it expressed on a daily basis throughout this country, in Coolock and elsewhere, where the Gardaí go far beyond their legal rights, and where they crush the right to protest, and where the government is determined, says it's determined, that Irish nationalism's voice will not be heard. We here in Clonairon, we in the SN are here for the determined will to see it, that Ireland's voice will be heard, no matter who tries to silence us. We will act within the law. We will act as peaceful as we can. But we will also be ready to protect ourselves and defend ourselves with as much violence as is necessary.
We've all been waiting for it to happen. Just didn't know how it was going to rear its ugly head.
What?
The New World Order.
Population reduction.
Is that what you and Lily were filming?
Yeah. We were filming in case anything happens to us.
Tell me.
There's no going back from this, dear. Everything will change for you once you know.
Tell me.
I believe we are enslaved in a society where we will not be free to think or feel or do anything other than consume. Slaves for work to buy things beyond our means. Living in fear of terrorism. I believe this is to blindside us, trick us into a situation where they, the powers that be, will wipe us out. Kill most of us. Kill all of us here. They are going to reduce the population. That is what I believe.
It's sad to think that there may need to be a population limit on the earth. Maybe there does. We can't keep on doing what we're doing.
There will be a global population reduction until there are only 500 million people there. Although I believe that this planet can support 2 billion humans perfectly comfortably.
How do you know that?
It's a question of space and the resources that space has, and using those resources to survive and not exploiting them.
Almost 7 billion humans use too many resources. This leads to a very uncertain future for us all.
Right, climate change.
Climate change occurs naturally. That's why we have the Ice Age.
So now you're telling me that climate change is fake?
As you know it.
Why do you recycle? Why do you recycle?
I'm doing my bit.
So you're trying to save the planet?
Yeah.
How precious of you to think that you could save the planet. If she needed saving, especially from us, she'd just wipe us out. Hypothetically, if we want to conserve 80% of the planet's resources, then we should get rid of, or cull, that 20% of the population who are consuming them, yeah?
Hypothetically, I guess that would be a solution.
Yeah, the final solution.
We use so much of the planet's resources that there's just no balance. Soon we would have depleted the resources so much that life can't be sustained. And then everything would die.
How would they reduce the population? We're not stupid.
People in power are using fear to fuel the racism. How long before they use this racism to make soldiers turn on their own? Innocent people living in a police state.
So it had begun, controlling and monitoring the movement of individuals within the society, putting chips in passports, ID cards, CCTV.
They're using this orchestrated ruse to convince the public to accept Big Brother type controls. And then they will intentionally reduce the mass of the world's population. Mass genocide on a scale never seen before. There are a mass of ways they could introduce population slaughter. More staged events, orchestrated and maneuvered conflicts, and the use of bioengineered diseases. Vaccines. It could come in vaccines. Women are being encouraged to get sterilised. What if they're using cervical cancer jabs? Not this generation, but the next. Prevention and cure for cancer. Or having babies.
That's madness.
You're right. They'd never wait 2 generations.
In the event that I am reincarnated, I'd like to come back as a deadly virus. So as to contribute to solving overpopulation. Prince Philip said that. Bioengineered pathogens are being created to eliminate ethnic groups, such as blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, homosexuals.
Homosexuals? Surely that would keep the population down.
Yes, but it's not nature's way. Love is not a factor when you're dealing with how the few procreate.
Natural selection, where the only natural element is the powers that be.
Population control already happens in China. You have to have a license before you can have a second child.
Come on, Dion. How many times have you thought about how unfair it is that you have to work to have a good life, whereas others breed and get given benefits and homes? How often have you wondered, like many others, what real value they bring to the world?
Population reduction programs eliminate a mind-blowing 95% of the population.
Eugenics is the pseudoscience of culling the excess population.
Fake science.
Got that.
Who's your clever girl?
It'll be done in a barbaric fashion using draconian methods, and this global holocaust will probably come out from under the flag of the UN.
I can almost imagine us being frog-marched away from our homes in a martial law kind of way. And no one bats an eyelid.
Almost 95% of the population.
13 out of every 14 people killed, destroyed, and murdered.
In order to stabilize world population, they need or want to dispose of 6.5 billion people.
Viewers, you don't know who the cameraman is. You don't know why you're being made to see these things. Nor do I. You're seeing me. I can't even see you. I may be dead by the time you watch this. Very possibly are. You don't know who's the man who's making things he wants you to see. Destroy your television sets. Now. You must listen to no orders. That's all I can tell you for this point in humanity. Believe me.